I would prefer not to.
It sounds so polite, doesn't it? But, I mean, saying that to your boss is actually a pretty rebellious act.
It really is. And that is exactly what we're jumping into today. We're doing a deep dive into free will and the surprisingly hard skill of saying no.
And to figure it out, we've got a really interesting mix of sources.
Yeah, we're mashing up a classic story from the 1850s, Bartleby the Scrivener, with some, modern research on how people act at work.
What sounds like a weird mix, but it works perfectly. Our mission today is to figure out why refusing a request is so hard for us and how we can do it without losing our friends or our jobs.
Okay, so let's start with the story. Who is this Bartleby guy?
So you have to picture Wall Street, but way back in the 1850s, there were no computers, no printers. Instead, law offices had these guys called scriveners.
Scriveners, what's that?
They were basically human photocopiers. Their entire job was to sit at a desk and copy legal papers by hand.
Word for word.
Word for word, all day long.
That sounds incredibly boring.
Exactly. So the story is about this lawyer who hires Bartleby. And at first, Bartleby's a great worker. But then one day, the boss asks him to check a paper. Bartleby just looks at him and says, I would prefer not to.
Wait, he doesn't yell? He doesn't, quit or anything?
Nope. No excuse either. He just calmly refuses. And that's what confuses the boss so much.
Right, because if he was angry, the boss could just fire him.
Exactly. But because he was so polite, so calm, the boss just didn't know what to do.
That is wild. I feel like if I did that, I'd be in so much trouble. But the story doesn't have a happy ending, right?
Sadly, no. Bartleby just keeps refusing to do things.
Right.
Eventually, he stops working completely. He won't even leave the office.
He has nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. He ends up getting arrested for vagrancy, which is basically for being homeless. And he sadly dies in prison.
Whoa. That's really tragic.
It is. But the story is so important because it shows this huge conflict. It's a battle between an individual's free will and the power of people in positions of authority.
It makes you wonder why he couldn't just say no in a way that, didn't ruin his life. Which brings us to the modern research. Why is it so hard for us to say no?
Well, according to the sources, it's not just about being scared of getting in trouble. It's because we hate awkwardness.
Awkwardness? Really?
Yes. Most people will agree to do things they absolutely hate just because saying no feels uncomfortable in that moment.
I totally get that. You don't want to be the difficult one.
Exactly. And that's how you fall into the yes man trap. Someone who just always agrees with the boss.
But here's the crazy part, right? The person asking doesn't even realize how much pressure they're putting on you.
That's what the research says. Your boss thinks, oh, it's just a small favor. But to you, it feels like you have to say yes. And this isn't just about work. I mean, it happens with anyone who has power over you.
So what do? We don't want to be a yes man, but we definitely don't want to end up like poor Bartleby.
And this is where the skill comes in. The sources say that saying no isn't just a choice. It's a skill you have to practice. It's all about maintaining professional boundaries.
Okay, that sounds a little bit fancy. Does that just mean protecting your own time?
Pretty much. It means you have to refuse a request while still showing that you care about your job. You're not being lazy. You're protecting your work-life balance so you can do your best work.
Right, because if you say yes to everything, you just get burned out.
Exactly. And sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand.
Oh, I like that phrase. It's like setting a clear limit, I will get my work done, but I draw a line in the sand about answering emails after dinner.
Perfect example. Sometimes you really have to put your foot down. Be firm. But, and this is the tricky part, you have to balance that with keeping your professional relationships. You can't just be stubborn like Bartleby.
So it's a strategy game. You have to be firm, but also, I guess, helpful.
That's the key. Saying no is necessary for your mental health, but you need a strategy so you don't end up, alone in a prison cell.
It's amazing that a story from over 170 years ago can still teach us so much about our lives today. We're still trying to figure out how to be ourselves while, following the rules.
It really is a timeless struggle.
Well, that is about all the time we have for this deep dive. But before we go, here's a question for you to think about. Who truly has the final say in your life? If you look at someone tomorrow and just politely said, I would prefer not to, what do you think would actually happen?
It's a scary experiment, but a very interesting one.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.